and let the tides.
Ladies and gentlemen, super welcome to this video, guys. Today we're doing another review divided into segments, and those segments are story, gameplay, graphics, audio, and finally a conclusion. I will try my best to give you some good and some bad in all of these segments to try and help you figure out if this game is for you or not. And today's meat on the meat grinder is no other than the newly released boomer shooter HellScreen. Let's do this. Let's start with the story, because in this game there actually is one. I was actually expecting this to be another storyless boomer shooter, but it's not, and I'm so happy about that. And the story goes something like this. Before the old times, ancient gods held eternal responsibility of sending the good to heaven and the wicked to hell. After growing tired of everlasting life and having grown older than time itself, the gods built a gigantic monolithic machine. This titan of a device was taken to their endless burden of soul sorting and allowing them to die. This HellScreen machine was soon constructed, but there was no rejoicing, only relief. In a flash, the old gods were gone, lost to time. After millennia of sorting countless souls, the machine begins to malfunction and displaces you, the player. You are taken from the real world at the point of your death and deposited into the HellScreen realm, instead of the peaceful afterlife you so deserve. You're given an inhuman form and are called upon to destroy the machine and its infernal biome. It must be stopped from dismantling the fabric of all existence and destroying all reality, and only you can stop it and reset the order. Once this is done, then perhaps you can return to your eternal resting spot. And the story as a whole, I actually think it's perfect and it fits the game's tone really well. But there is something I'm really missing here. I'm really missing the immersion with the story inside the game. It's nowhere to be seen. There's no cutscenes, barely any form of letters, and just a few hidden texts here and there. All of these are very easily missed, and I would guess that the average player will completely miss them. I didn't even know there was a story to this game until I actually read it up online, and that's a real bummer. But hey, at least you know before playing that there is a story behind everything going on in the game. And when it comes to the gameplay, it might not come as a huge surprise to some that this game offers a fast pace with retro style shooting mechanics, but it also offers something that I don't see in a lot of retro inspired shooters, and that is innovation and making themselves stand out from all the rest. But this one, it does. Not only do you have a rear view mirror that you have to use to find certain doors and hidden paths, but sometimes the gameplay switches completely and you have to solely rely on looking in it. And it might be because an enemy has blinded you or something is hurting you and you can't see what it is until you find the invisible enemy in your rear view mirror. And the rear view mirror mechanic, it actually has even more uses than that, but it almost still feels a little underused. It really does take some practice getting used to running backwards looking into the rear view mirror, and honestly, I never really felt like I got the full hang of it after a full playthrough. And I'm not sure here, it might be because I'm really bad at running backwards, but it feels like if the mechanic was more used in the game, I would have gotten the hang of it. In other words, a really fun and unique mechanic that I would have liked to see more use for in the game. And when it comes to the weapons that you will be firing, they feel very basic. None of them has an alternative fire, and none really feels well polished or super nice to use. They feel a bit clunky and could definitely use some more polish to them. However, the weapons, they do get the job done. And if you want the job done even faster, you have to constantly be moving forward, because moving forward grants you double the amount of damage, and that makes a huge difference. And honestly, this is another innovative, unique mechanic that I absolutely love. It pushes you to get better and better at moving around the map, dodging bullets and hitting your targets, all while on the fly. And nailing these things is just such an awesome feeling, and I love that the game encourages you to do it. And it's far from impossible, don't worry. It might sound super hard if you never tried it, but trust me, you do get the hang of it quite fast. And when it comes to the enemies, I think they lack in variation. They look very uninspiring compared to the rest of the game. However, they make a quite satisfying splash upon getting killed. However, the sound they make sounds very low quality, and I really didn't dig that. The levels, on the other hand, they seem very inspiring and thought out. A lot of effort and detail looks to have been put into the maps. They offer secrets, puzzles, platforming, and very unique looking set pieces that I really came to appreciate. And the graphics, here is another place where the game really stands out, and that's by a lot. Never ever have I witnessed a game that uses this type of color palette or saturation, and at first it can feel very unfamiliar and even ugly at times. But once you start noticing the details and wrap your head around not being in the normal world anymore, it really starts to feel like this is exactly how it's supposed to look. Now in my opinion, I think it is a very bold move making the game look like this. But I think it definitely succeeds at what it sets out to do. And to make it even a little more better, the H.R. Geiger inspiration flows throughout the maps, and it is beautifully crafted. The mystery of this place and uneasy feeling it brings is just top notch. The audio, however, I unfortunately just overall disliked it. The guns, they sound very low quality, and the same goes for the enemies. The music and the ambience, it's okay, but nothing too special, and I don't really have much more to say about that. I could have played it without the headphones and almost enjoyed it just the same. In conclusion, guys, I think this is a very bold game that dares to be unique and different, and it deserves really much praise for being brave enough to do that. It's a unique boomer shooter that offers enjoyment even with its flaws, and apart from the guns needing polish, the gameplay is super tight. And what we have to remember is that this is an early access game developed by a solo developer with only its first version out. Even so, it still has a pretty hefty price tag when looking at what you get for your buck. I would have preferred it to be lower priced in early access and then raise the price once it's done. Now, will you be getting the game? Let me know down in the comments, and for more awesome shooter games, don't miss these.